Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 162 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live podcast in Canada. We're recording on December 12th, 2018. Marty is muted or something. He's a hunter and sport shooter in rural southern Ontario.
I'm Liberal Tim. I'm a liberal and sports shooter, the husband and father of 3, and I'm the owner and operator of Tim's Good T-shirts. They're quite good. I'm also the proud descendant of immigrants.
My name is Ian. I'm a target shooter, homesteading prepper, and token westerner.
I'm Gavin, recent recipient of the prestigious Shooter's Choice Award for most likely to puke 5 times before a match and still perform at a mediocre level.
Amazing. As always, my name is Andrew. I'm a recovering libertarian, a competitive shooter, and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical. You should buy some bandages.
All of them.
Is my audio working now?
Hey, it's Marty.
Hey!
There you go. Sweet. Well, we'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Tell us how good or bad Marty's audio is. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. A version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes.
Oh, should I be reading the show notes right now?
Yeah,
I should be.
Yeah.
Check the podcast out. Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast or Instagram at Instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
We need your help to support the show. Visit www.patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. The more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, go to the homepage, and follow the link on the right.
All right, that takes us to What Are We Drinking? Every week, What Are We Drinking is brought to us by Arrowhead Coffee. Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true north, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you no matter where you are. A portion of all profits helps Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, and their families. And that takes us to What Are We Drinking? Gavin, I'm going to start with you. What are we drinking?
I am drinking Knob Creek and Coke Zero this evening.
You love the knob.
I certainly do.
It's funny because it's true. Ian, what are you drinking?
I gotta release my inner Brit and continue drinking the gin and soda from a couple episodes ago. I just gotta finish off the bottle.
Do you have that same problem that Andrew does where you're not allowed to start a new bottle until the old bottle is done? Or
Actually, we have almost a record-setting collection of bottles, and the fact that we just never seem to finish them at all. We're just this is about the only time I seem to drink nowadays is on the podcast.
It's funny how talking about politics will do that to a person.
Just drive a person right to do it.
Right to the
Yeah.
bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, I also drank a lot when I just read about the news, so I like to think of this as a team sport. Marty, what are you drinking?
I have JP Weiser's old-fashioned whiskey cocktail with Coke Zero tonight.
What is... I'm familiar with Weiser's. What is old-fashioned whiskey cocktail?
I
Is
believe
it
it's
just like
whiskey.
an old-fashioned in a can?
No, it's just whiskey with a old-timey label, it seems.
It just sounds classier when you add cocktail to the end of it.
Yeah.
Sure. I guess. Tim,
Tastes
what are
like
you
whiskey.
drinking? That's
Tastes
what
like
counts, bud.
Drinking 40 Creek Copper Pot and reverse osmosis water.
Of course you are. All right. I don't know why the ugly Christmas sweater shoot is still here. That should not be. Let's go straight into the news. Fingers crossed I'm not reading the wrong version of the show notes and deleting things because I need these for later.
Meh.
All right, first thing, Marty, you're up. The regulations amending firearms marking regulations, SOR 2018-239 from gazette.jc.ca.
All right, I guess I can touch on this. So there was recently a post, was it on the gun blog, or I forget where it was, saying that Trudeau, the Liberals were working on a plan to have are personal identification or some sort of personal identifiers marked on the firearms, which, you know, that post on that blog caused the whole internet to get upset.
Well, I don't know about the whole internet, but I'll grant you that it angered a few thousand Canadians.
Well, the internet that I partake in was upset.
Oh shit! Did I not do what I'm drinking?
I do believe you did not.
You guys are the worst co-hosts ever. Somebody guess what I'm drinking.
Double 3%.
Salted caramel?
No, it's the Grumpy Goat.
Nice.
It's an Ontario IPA.
Rather appropriate given the pre-show's conversation.
I guess better than an angry alpaca.
Sorry, Marty, carry on.
So on that note, I saw that blog, but they weren't really, I mean, it was kind of very speculatory, saying this is what the government's working on it without really citing their sources. So I kind of went through what they were referencing. And so what they were referencing was what came out from Ralph Goodale's office when they deferred the arms trade the arms trade treaty marking scheme. When that got deferred 2 more years, they issued this SOR/2018-239 document, and there's a few kind of statements within that are what's leading these guys to believe that this is what they're intending. I don't know if I would make the same jump that they did, but there is definitely some verbiage in here that's concerning.
Okay, so before we talk about the scary verbiage and what Gun Blog did, because we didn't actually include that in show notes, the UN Arms Trade Treaty, the thing that this is all about, this is a thing that's been deferred by 4 different federal governments?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going with 4. I don't know that any of you sound believable.
No, I think it's been that.
If you want to learn about this, you should go way back in the catalog to episode 7, I think. Whatever episode I interviewed Tony Bernardo of the CSSA with, because we talked at length for like an hour about the UN arms trade marking scheme, and it's a scheme.
Yeah. I know we've referenced it several times throughout as well, because it kind of keeps popping up as it seems to have again.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of filtered out some of the important
You want to hit the
bits.
highlights?
Yeah. So I'll start off with the first one. So, and sorry, it's a little bit dry, but currently the regulations provide that domestically manufactured firearms must bear the name of the manufacturer, the serial number, and Canada or CA. Imported firearms must be marked with Canada or CA and the last 2 digits of the year of import. Example 18 for 2018. So this is the existing proposal of the Arms Trade Treaty marking scheme, where you'd have to mark the letters of the country and the year of import. So for Canada, CA 2018.
Crime would plummet.
This part is kind of fake and gay, but the part that worries me about that is the specific language around the dimensions to prevent obliteration of the data and allow for tracing. It's not like criminals don't already file off serial numbers, so I'm not really sure how this is going to help.
Well, if you make it bigger...
I mean, again, we don't need to go about the usefulness of the arms trade treaty, because there's multiple podcasts where we've discussed how useless this is, and having another random marking does nothing whatsoever. But this is all this statement is saying is that this is what the current proposed is, that it's, the CA 18 for Canada. So the next kind of thing I want to highlight was, with tracing, firearms are matched to existing records. However, the utility of the existing regulations has been diminished by the destruction of the long gun registry, i.e. the destruction of approximately 90% of records for firearms in Canada, and the absence of record-keeping requirements for businesses. So now this is Goodale's office saying that having the current tracings, like serial numbers and things like that on firearms, is no longer useful to them because of the loss of the long gun registry. So what they're saying is, without a registry, a marking scheme is useless.
Makes sense. I mean, if they don't know who that number belongs to, what's the point of having the number?
So, but here's the question, though. if the Liberals are coming out and saying that without a registry, a marking scheme is useless, we want to implement a marking scheme. What goes along with that?
Well, and that's why with C71, they put in 3/4 of the registry and just need to put that last component in, whenever they feel like it.
Yeah, it's so... We're halfway
That's
there.
worth talking about in the upcoming 2 articles about the gun groups word. So I think we should revisit that point, Marty.
Sure. The efficiencies of tracing are realized when a record of the most recent legal owner can be linked to a specific combination of information, serial number, name of manufacturer, etc., which is marked on the firearm. And then I want to highlight this. Consequently, the requirements of the existing regulations are not sufficient to uniquely identify the legal owner of the firearm in order to facilitate tracing.
Okay,
so what they're saying is that adding the CA18 onto the firearm is not sufficient, along with the existing, serial numbers and such.
Which this is the part that baffles me, because when we had a long gun registry and we have currently a restricted firearms registry, we do this based on the serial number of the firearm. So I'm not sure what they're trying to get at by saying that, like, we need to etch more data on the gun because we currently use the serial number and that's not good enough.
So now this is liberal logic here. So you're going to get upset because there's some common sense here that doesn't get applied. But let me explain the argument in that serial numbers on firearms are not unique. Multiple manufacturers can use the same serial number. In order to trace to an addition, in order to trace to a specific firearm, they need the make, model, and serial number.
Well, that's funny, because if I go look in my gun safe, every firearm I have that has a serial number also has a manufacturer and a place of origin.
Yeah, it's like with those things, they could distinguish between different manufacturers or even the same manufacturer with different plants that use the same number.
But that does not stop them from saying that the existing serial number is not a unique identifier.
I just want to reiterate, fake and gay.
Yeah. And this is kind of the last one that this is kind of leading to what the gun blog posted. So the deferral of the coming into force of the regulations permits the Government of Canada continue developing amendments to the regulations so that they achieve their intended purpose of enabling the tracing of crime guns by law enforcement agencies. All right, and then this. Over the course of the next 24 months, a marking regime will be developed in order to improve the effectiveness of the regulations. So with this deferral, the Liberals have not just deferred the enactment of the existing, Arms Trade Treaty firearms marking as what we know. They are now saying they are going to modify that marking scheme over the next 24 months to be a more substantive marking scheme.
I'm curious what they plan to do. I mean, I don't expect Bill Blair actually has a plan, but I'd be curious to hear what it was if he did.
Well, I think his plan is to just ban guns, and then he doesn't have to come up with a new way to come with a marking scheme. It's so much easier.
Stop reading ahead, but yes.
Well, I think this is where the difference in governments really shows its ugly head, because, I mean, the Conservatives, they decided to defer these regulations because they were dumb and ineffective. This government's deferring them because they want to make them more onerous, which is just mind-blowing.
Yeah. Now, so this is where the gun blog...
One more year.
Now, the gun blog took this to be that they want to engrave the purchaser's individual information on the guns. Reading this, I don't necessarily get that. I mean, I guess that is one option that they could do. I see this being more, they're going to create unique numbers, a second unique serial number that is truly unique. that they would then engrave on. But
they're going to need a very long number to be able to do that with the number of guns that are produced yearly.
So I don't know what the number was for the long gun registry, but based on other articles that we've read for today's show prep, there's roughly 1 million restricted firearms in Canada. If non-restricted firearms made up 90% of the guns in Canada, that would be another 9 million guns, give or take. 10 million guns. So that's roughly 9 digits, 10 digits.
yeah, but it's alphanumeric though. You have 26 letters for each one as well.
Ooh, that's a good point. We could use letters.
Yeah, but still, I mean, when you look at, like, they want to
whiskey and math don't go together. I can figure that out for you later. I'm not trying to do that live on the air.
No, but they want to do this worldwide. So I mean, it's going to need to be a fairly large number.
They don't want to do it worldwide, though. I mean, like, we all have to buy into the UN Global Homo Arms Trade Treaty thing, but no other UN country is proposing like a unique air quotes serial number that everyone's going to abide by.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Like, Canada can choose how we implement it.
Yeah.
And this instead of like just putting CA18 was already dumb. Now we're gonna make it super
dumber. Yeah.
Even dumber.
Could you imagine though if they started having to engrave your name on it?
Every time it was bought and sold.
Yeah, I would be selling guns to people and buying them back just to, like, it runs out of space, and then it's like, oh.
They'd have to extend the buttstock or something. They just keep scratching out Gavin and Ian.
I guess I can't put any more information on it because it's already been bought and sold too many times. So stupid.
Yeah, so I just want to touch on this just because, I mean, I think this information that we just went through there, it's not really been widely looked at by the firearms owners. There's just been the gun blog and then the reactions to that. So I just wanted to go through sort of the source of where that's coming from and try and put some realistic perspective on it.
And I think that's a worthwhile thing. There are two related articles we have, one from the Star Phoenix, one from the Star, that's the Red Star out of Toronto. Gun groups worried about government's ability to trace gun owners, and Ottawa considers gun control options with handgun ban seen as costly and possibly ineffective. Which is possibly the most, like, journalistically integrity thing that the Star has ever written. Possibly ineffective. No freaking kidding, man. Like, this is clearly going to be ineffective. So the CCSA, the CCFR, the Canadian Small Arms and Ammunitions it's the CSAAA, whatever they stand for. The Canadian Small Arms
and Ammunition.
Canadian Sporting Arms and Ammunition Association. Yeah. That's what it is. I have a membership. I should really know what it's called. But so that's the industry group, CCFR, CCSA, and for some reason, Saskatoon Wildlife Federation, way to go Saskatoon, are all quoted in one of the articles as people that are concerned by this. And I mean, they should be. We are already abundantly tracked by the government through existing policy as licensees. We don't need more tracking. Like the fact that we have not had a long gun registry in almost 4 years has not been a detriment to the police. They haven't suddenly had a spike in gun crimes. They haven't been unable to solve gun related crimes. I don't see how adding like the fake and gay registry is going to help. Right, so part of this is now that we have as part of C71, when C71 comes into force, everywhere else in Canada gets to be like Ontario, where the retailer, commercial business selling firearms, gets to maintain a ledger of firearms that are sold. This is something we already have in Ontario. So the government is not unable to find the last lawful purchaser of a firearm from a retail establishment. All they're doing is shuffling this from, instead of being a centralized government database, to a decentralized database isn't really the right word, but a decentralized list run by the industry at cost to the industry. I don't see how this makes things any better. All right, we're going with fake and gay and moving on then.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can really say anything. I mean, the whole thing is just absolutely ridiculous and dumb.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Like, I'm not
take
going
it
to refute your argument dead on.
let's go into a deeper one in the Ottawa gun ban part. The costly and possibly ineffective article from the Toronto Star, an unnamed government source. Also, anytime I read unnamed government source in any sort of journalism, made up bullshit. That's what that amounts to. I don't believe in unnamed government sources, because if you have an opinion to share with the media, you should share your opinion with the media. My name's Andrew. I do a podcast on Monday nights. I'm super easy to find on the internet. I stand behind the things that I say. The media, despite their $600 million government buyout, should also stand behind the things that they say. So if you're going to quote a senior government official, you should say who that senior government official was, because this is also made up bullshit. Right? Like there is no way to identify this individual. There's no way to corroborate their story. Like this is made up nonsense in the Toronto Star, which is an incredibly left-leaning media outlet, more so since they got their fake government money. But the thing that I wanted to look into further, because last week was, of course, the 29th anniversary of the Ecole Polytechnique massacre. So naturally, Heidi Rathjen and Wendy Sukier did their grave dancing routine that they do every year. You'd think after 30 years they'd be better at it. But anyway, Trudeau is promised to do something about all of the guns on our streets, which, as someone who walks outside regularly, I don't see these guns, but maybe I'm not walking in the right part of Toronto.
No, I don't even see them there.
I don't even hear gunshots.
No. Yeah.
So the cost to do a buyback, because apparently buybacks are on the table now. I don't know where they came up with this, but apparently buybacks are on the table. Their unnamed source estimates that it would cost $2 billion to buy back all the handguns currently in legal circulation. They neglect to do anything or to name anything that would buy them back from criminals, who are the ones that are actually shooting one another with them, because the legal handguns in everybody on this panel's locker haven't killed anybody yet. So I'm not sure why buying our handguns back is going to make the streets of Toronto safer.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, we all know that buybacks, all they do is mean that, like, just guns get melted down that shouldn't have been.
Well, and buybacks are you bringing your gun to the government so they can give you your tax money back. I mean, it's just they're buying your gun with your money. So
yeah,
I don't.
Yeah, I can buy my gun twice.
Yeah, or they're buying like PVC piping, some other things fashioned into something that vaguely looks like a gun.
I don't see a buyback being an effective strategy. Call it.
It's not. It's not.
I mean, I will say this, that I don't think it's a good idea, and I don't want this to happen. However, if they are going to ban them, the very least they could do is give people their money back. Even if it's just giving them their own money back. But I don't think that that's going to work, and I
disagree.
It's
like, so there's 800 and something thousand handguns, and they want to give the estimate is $1.52 billion. So that's, again, whiskey and meth don't drink, but $1,000 a handgun? My handguns are much nicer than that.
Well, yeah, I mean, they need to give you whatever the market value is if they were to do it that way. But again, I don't think that's going to work because, like we said, all that does is just take the legal guns off the street at a huge financial hit, and then criminals still have their guns and aren't going to turn them in.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because as long as they get a nice statistic they can put in the Red Star or the CBC, and they can say we got this many guns off the streets. That's what they'd say.
Yeah.
I think it's.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like they'll make up all the stats and not do anything.
And they're making up the stats on this one as well, because I mean, you look at the article and they're saying that every poll they've held has at least 76% in favor of a gun ban, maybe as low as 50% in Alberta, but yet every poll I've been on, it's like overwhelmingly no, they were against a handgun ban, and yet they just keep making up the numbers as they see fit.
Well, when you don't need to quote any sources.
Well, this is part of my problem with the bought and paid for media. P.S. We're for sale. If you want to support CPP, Patreon. But if you're a government agency, I will gladly cash that check because I could use $600 million.
Yeah.
So other thing with, because of course it was the Ecole Polytechnique anniversary. Heidi Rathagen and Wendy Sukier did their thing. So there's an article from CTV in the show notes. Survivors implore Senate to pass gun reform bills despite loud lobby resistance. Yeah, that's because gun owners don't want to buy your shit. You're selling it to the wrong group here, folks. We don't believe in the nonsense that you're trying to sell. Taking away the guns from law-abiding Canadians is not going to stop people from shooting up schools in Quebec or parliaments in Ottawa.
Or playgrounds in Toronto.
Do crazy. Well, that's the problem. I saw a great article, and I don't mean that in a facetious way. I saw a great article. Toronto police were praised for their use of a particular type of bandage, which I happen to sell. It's the Oleus bandage. Find that at ragnaroktechnical.ca/first aid. The Oleus bandage saved the most recent playground victim, a 13-year-old girl in Toronto, from bleeding to death because of the timely and appropriate application by Toronto police officers. So how is banning my guns going to stop people getting shot in Toronto? Because we've already established that law-abiding Canadians, the most law-abiding segment of society, we're not the ones going around shooting up playgrounds in Toronto. How's this going to prevent gangbangers from doing that? The solution to this...
You can edit that plug out later with the magic of editing, right?
How's that?
I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Why would you edit out your own plug? I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't. But this is my point. Is that I lost my point? Oh no, this is my point. Is that the people that are getting shot and the people that are doing the shooting are not being impacted by law-abiding licensed firearms owners in Canada because we don't go around shooting people.
Yeah, they're already breaking about 4 crimes already.
Yeah, before they even shoot somebody.
Yeah, they don't give a damn about the law.
How is taking away my semi-automatic assault rifles going to stop people getting shot in Toronto? Because no one's been shot with any of my semi-automatic assault rifles yet. No one's likely to be shot. I mean, some people deserve to be shot, but that's not for me to judge, I suppose.
I mean, the odd muzzle sweep amongst friends, but whatevs.
You muzzle sweep your RO one time and nobody lets you forget it.
Muzzle sweeping Americans.
Yeah.
No, this is
it's ridiculous.
This is nonsense. C-71 is going to no doubt cause issues for law-abiding Canadians and do nothing to improve the safety of university students in Montreal or anywhere else because crazy people do crazy things like kill other people.
Yeah, whatever money they've potentially earmarked to buy back these guns, they should just dump into mental health because that's going to have more of an impact on things like this.
Oh yeah, I remember
I would
there was one
mental
guy.
Health.
Yeah, there was one guy on a Greyhound bus, didn't even have a gun. He cut someone's head off and ate the eyeballs, and he's already out of prison.
Well, can you blame him though, man? Like, they're just delicious.
And those long
And he
bus
did
rides
promise
are
to-
boring.
Yeah.
Well, and he did promise to stay on his meds, so you got to take his word, guys.
There we go.
Oh well, his word
Take
is
that.
bond. Yeah.
So I hope that our gun lobby continues a loud resistance of this nonsense because we are not... The law-abiding firearms owners in this country are not the risk. We need to do something about the people that are using firearms illegally, usually in the commission of other crimes, like drug dealing gangbangers.
Yeah.
If we could target actual criminals, I'd be a lot happier about this.
Well, and this is the part that drives me a little bit crazy because it's like somehow because we're against unjust, ineffective regulations that somehow we're pro-innocent people getting hurt because that's not the case. I know everyone listening knows this, but just in case someone happens to catch this, it's not like
your first time.
We're not for that. Like, we obviously have more in this to lose, so we absolutely don't want people that are law-abiding and using firearms to do anything. And anyone that gets injured or killed is horrible, and it should stop. But ineffective, unjust regulation is not the way to go.
Yeah, that's a simple trick of the left to just demonize their opposition, so they don't have to listen to anything they say, and they can shut them down without any feeling of guilt. So
Yeah.
So very briefly, there are two other articles: 660 News and CTV again. Yes. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Which I have a question about the CTV news article for guys.
All right. Well, so the CTV News article that we're talking about is Trudeau says government will limit access to handguns and assault weapons. Go ahead, Marty.
Okay. Can everyone see the still for the video?
Yes.
Since when could you get a Norinco 1911 with Bomar rear sight?
Yes. I didn't even realize it was Norinco.
Yeah, it's a Norinco, and I've never seen them come with the Bomar cut rear.
Yeah, no, you're. I guess you're. I didn't realize it was an Norinco. I was like, huh, that's a shitty looking 1911.
I think
Yeah, that's a
I didn't realize that it was a Chinese shitty 1911. Hashtag buy a Glock.
you're sure that's a Bomar? That's not a Chinese knockoff of a Bomar? Or?
Bomar cut.
Oh, Bomar cut there.
Yeah.
Maybe they send it into their local Smith, and you know.
Well, and it could be one of those many guns that the government is telling us are stolen from law-abiding Canadians.
This must be one of the sales samples, and then they swap out for the cheaper rear sight when they actually sell it to you.
Yeah.
That certainly looks like a Norinco Parkerized magazine, that's for sure. Oh, banana clip. Sorry.
Banana.
It's 100% a Nork. I can guarantee that.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I just didn't think I'd look at it hard enough to be like, oh yeah, that's a Norinco. I just went, that's a crappy looking 1911. Okay.
But it is giving Marty some ideas to customize his. So, you know.
Wow.
Ambi safety.
The
full on
1980s
guide rope.
told they want the sighting system back.
Well, you don't like the iron sights? You're going optics only from now on?
I'm just not a big fan of the Bomar stuff. Just fixed rear. Plain black fixed rear sight, fiber optic front sight.
So you think that a fixed rear is more modern than adjustable sights?
No, I really don't like the Bomar cut because it's a hard sight to buy. It's like a lot of 1911s aren't cut for it. You have to send it to somebody to get it done.
Including Norinco.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if Norinco is going to sell them from the factory, maybe I'll change my opinion.
It is a pricey rear sight. Yeah, it's $100 rear sight.
I mean, plus the milling work to get that, you know.
To get it cut in.
Yeah. Especially
I just love the whole that you see again and again. Trudeau did not rule out a full ban when asked by the host. It's just like,
well, I love that.
Basically, we're not going to do fuck all.
In the articles, they even say that, like, you know, they keep talking assault weapons. Like, there's no clear definition of what an assault rifle is, or what. And you're like,
anything that's scary, black, made of plastic, or they don't like that day.
Yeah. So if there's no clear-cut definition of what one is, how do you plan to ban it?
Well, like it's
Or
like
They did the prohibs in '95. They're just going to go through a magazine and highlight the scary-looking ones.
So they're going to use the definition of pornography, where there isn't one, but when you see it, you know it.
Yeah, the M&P 22.
Yeah. Super dangerous.
AR variant.
Is it fun to shoot? Therefore, it's banned.
Yeah.
Well, there goes all the guns.
Well,
Except that Turkish shotgun that Gavin owns.
Well,
the self-disassembling shotgun.
It's fun to shoot like once or twice until it falls apart.
Yeah, the ergonomics of the vice grip forend is not great, but
no, but like it works, ish.
Once or twice.
Yeah.
No, that was a question. What once or twice?
Like with or without repairs.
Let's do another one. We've got a terrorist talk about.
Better than
That's
anything
not
from
right.
the Northeast.
Trudeau tweets $50 million pledge for girls' education around the world during Mandela Festival, and follow-up article. So that one's from That one's from the Spectre, Hamilton Spectre. And follow-up article from Spencer Ferdrenko. No, that's not right.
Fernando.
Fernando.
Spencer Fernando.
Thank you, Fernando. Yeah, so we're gonna Twitter away $50 million to someone celebrating terrorists, because I feel like a lot of people forget this. There was a reason that Nelson Mandela was in jail for 30 years. It's because he blew people up in South Africa before he became president.
Who doesn't blow people up in South Africa, though? Really?
Fair. So I guess there was some sort of Mandela festival this past week, and some famous dude, I don't know who this celebrity is, Trevor Noah, I guess he's some sort of a celebrity.
He's on that show with the other British guy or whatever, John Oliver, with their like weird comedy fake news.
Okay then.
Yeah.
They're
like us, but not as good.
Well, that was
John
obvious from the
Oliver?
photo.
Yeah.
I can't even watch that guy anymore.
No.
Yeah, there was once where I thought that dude was funny. And
It was about 3 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Actually
Yeah.
it was.
Before
And then he
Orange
took,
Man
like-
Bad swept the world.
Yeah, and then he took a real hard left.
Well,
Well,
that money though.
Yeah.
I don't know. He either took a really hard left or I took a really hard right, because about 3 years ago, he stopped being funny at all.
Yeah, that's probably both.
Same as Stephen Colbert.
But I
Yeah.
just think
Anyway,
is, I mean,
His
in
token
terms of
sidekick
Trudeau,
here.
in terms of Trudeau tweets, though, this one's relatively inexpensive. I mean, compared to Welcome to Canada, we got off light on this one.
Yeah, 50 million is a drop in the bucket compared to other ridiculous tweets that he's done.
This $50 million thing, this bothers me. This was not a campaign promise. This was not a budgetary item. This is not something that's been debated in the House. For some reason, the Chinese ponies decided to give South Africa and the rest of the world $50 million of my money.
Well, and on top of the obvious, like, instead of $50 million for veterans, he's going to like some random charity in another country. But the fact is every time they offer a tax cut, like the Conservatives back in the day, they'd offer a tax cut. And the first thing the Liberals would do is say, you're taking money away from schools, from building roads, from so on and so on. And yet here, it's like, no problem at all. We'll just borrow more money. It's great. Like, I mean, the double standard is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, is the double standard in the media because the media just got $600 million, or is the double standard in the media because the media is actually just a bunch of liberal shills?
I'd say option both, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I think that was a good point, Ian. Like, anytime there's a tax cut, it's always about, this is going to affect our police. This is going to affect our nurses.
My roads.
But how come when they announce, random spending like this, or like they're not making the same arguments? This is going to come out from our police. This is going to come out from our nurses.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that the group that he's giving this money to isn't even really, like, it's brand new. They haven't really been around for a long time. They're not really a charity. They take the money and then divvy it up amongst other charities of their choice, from my understanding.
Well, the Clinton Foundation is not a charity either, and they got 150 million, didn't they?
Yeah. And like it's like the flippant nature of the whole thing, where it's just like, hey man, sorry I couldn't be at your party. How's 50 mil? Cool. Like,
No. You got it slightly wrong. It's not sorry I couldn't be at your party. Is can I come to your party next time?
fair. Like, it's just,
I would like that
it's
$50 million
insulting.
to remain in Canada. That's $50 million we could be putting towards girls' education in our own country.
Absolutely. Or veterans, or female veterans in their education, or
My roads,
yeah.
or building a wall, because enforcing my national borders is literally the only.
Oh yeah,
the
but
only
we don't.
lawful form of my federal government.
We don't have those anymore.
50 million towards preventing gang violence, which would actually kill two birds with one stone and take care of their handgun problem.
Yeah.
Oh, could you imagine if we spent $50 million incarcerating gangbangers and drug dealers?
Oh,
Yeah, I like that kill two gangs with one stone thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that is very cost effective. That 50
How do we
million
sign up
goes
for
a
that?
long way.
I'll buy the stones.
Yeah,
Actually,
50 million in stones goes a long way.
Oh, revenue generation. They could also offer tags, but that's another whole story. So,
Yeah.
I contend that we do this Hunger Games style. We just put them in a stadium and we broadcast it. Fucking
Yeah.
pay-per-view, man.
Can we get
Oh,
a
yeah.
unique identifier on all the stones?
Yeah.
Yes. How's your engraving skills, Tim?
They're getting better by the minute.
Yeah, they'll get a lot better for $50 million.
Yeah,
Thanks for asking.
This is absolute nonsense. I don't like that the virtue signaler in chief has just decided that we should give 50 million of my tax-paying dollars to some charity in Africa to dole out around the world to what's their name? Education Cannot Wait. Is that their name?
Something like that, yeah.
And this is all to honor a terrorist from South Africa that started a new version of apartheid.
Well, as long as it's
All
a
of
new
this
version.
bothers me greatly.
What's the carbon footprint of a gang member?
Too high.
Yeah.
well, even zero until he dies, and he still gives off carbon as he decomposes.
I don't know. I have a super low carbon footprint, like organic, fair trade solution. It's local.
Electric helicopters.
No, it's organically sourced local hemp.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer the green option in
As
that
I drive-
M855 ball ammunition, but
That works.
I accept your hemp.
As I drive around my fair county, I see a lot of large, deep ditches.
It's true.
that need to get filled.
Yes.
All right, let's
We'll meet at
I think I
Joe
gotta-
Tomatoes.
I got a drop for this one. I think if I can find it.
And the budget will balance itself.
Except that it won't.
Like, yeah, when you're giving away 50 million left, right, and center, how will it ever balance itself?
That goes right on the budget,
this is
doesn't
part
it?
of my
Yeah.
This is part of my problem is that this money is money that we shouldn't be giving out because we don't have it. And even if we did have it, why are we spending it in countries that are not Canada? Because last I checked, we live in Canada. I mean,
Not anymore, we don't.
yeah, tune in next week to hear me complain about the UN Compact on regular and safe migration or whatever that nonsense was called.
Yeah,
All right,
$18.1 billion dollar deficit this year so far.
Yeah,
Projected.
so far the year's not out.
Yeah.
So Trudeau has admitted that the budget will not balance itself. This is first articles from, or I guess it's the only article, is from the Ottawa Sun. So, highlight reel, the federal Liberal government came into a more than balanced budget. They came in with a surplus budget from the outgoing Conservative Party. It's something to the tune of $20 billion, something like that. And the Conservative or the Liberal government has managed to spend all of that and another 20, or I guess it's another $19 billion that they had to borrow. I was going to round up and say 20, but that's not factually accurate, and we wouldn't want to be accused of being fake news. So they spent their $20 billion surplus and then borrowed another $19 billion to continue spending my money on things that we can't afford, like educating women around the world who are not Canadians. This bothers me.
Why do they hold the books like that?
How do you mean?
That's
Well,
not.
if
That's the budget.
It's equality growth. But I'm just saying, like, there's a picture in the article in Morneau and
That's just
Trudeau.
because both Morneau and Trudeau can't read. They don't know how to hold books.
I guess so.
Well, Morneau is staring at Trudeau. Maybe he's just covering up sort of excitement level. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, that book is a little low.
Yeah.
That needs to be a 3-inch ring binder.
He approved some expenditures for him, and it got him a little excited.
Mhm.
He knows he's building another skating rink next year.
Now, being on the West Coast, I know sometimes I get overwhelmed with the smell of patchouli and weed over here, but I'm pretty sure if you grow the government by 22% over the previous cost, it's not going to balance itself. I'm surprised they're actually taking this long to figure it out.
Well, they ain't the smartest.
No, they certainly are not. This the budget deficit really bothers me. We have a lot of things going on in the world where we should be positioned a lot better as a country, and we are not. Our energy sector is doing incredibly poorly. Canadian oil is it a record deficit, or is it a record low now? If it's not, it's awful close. Like I cannot remember a time in the time that I have been following politics in the last 10 years or so where our prices of Canadian oil have been this low.
Yeah, but do they adjust those prices for inflation and all of that? Because, like, you know, a $30 barrel of oil, like, however long ago, and like a $60 barrel of oil now or whatever, right? Like, I just pulled those numbers out of my head, so if they're not right, forgive me. But you know what I mean? Not. Like, it's you know, like, shit's worth more because of inflation now. So even if it's not the lowest, it's probably, if you adjust for inflation, probably the lowest or pretty fucking close, because it is not doing good.
I don't know if the numbers that I know are adjusted for inflation or not, but even if they are, in the 10 years, which is not long enough to make that big of a difference, this is the lowest that I've seen oil prices in Canada. We are not able to domestically produce oil at a price point where it's attractive to sell it in our own country.
Well, also because we can't transport it from one side of the fucking country to the other because nobody wants a fucking pipeline.
And that's another problem that we have. But we are also seeing the uptick of interest rates, and now Trudeau has promised to lower the debt to GDP ratio, which I guess for everybody out there in podcast land, the only way to lower our debt to GDP ratio is to pay off our federal government debt. The only way to do that is to increase taxes, which the Liberals have already done to us. I am paying more taxes now than I was paying 4 years ago. So that is not adjusted for inflation, so maybe that's my problem. But I'm paying more in taxes now than I was, and we're that much further in debt than we were. So I don't see how they're going to reduce the debt to GDP ratio unless we massively increase taxes or completely eliminate spending.
I don't think that's going to happen. So long as JT has the Twitter.
I don't. Yeah, like, we can't cut spending. Like how like the migrants across illegally.
Who will fund the roads?
Who will carry their luggage? It's if none of the RCMP down there carrying their luggage.
Well, this is
who's going to inspect it? Who's going to inspect
$10,000 to $35,000 a
let them into the country?
Yeah,
I take issue with a lot of this because I don't like the Liberals ran on balancing the budget. Trudeau got into office and he said the budget would balance itself. The budget will balance. Budget is balanced from the heart outward.
I'm going to put money back in the middle class.
Yeah,
the middle class has been almost completely destroyed. There is no longer effectively a middle class in Canada.
Yeah, but now they can smoke dope legally, and it's more expensive. So
and terrible and not available.
I do believe he also promised science-based decisions too, but that hasn't exactly panned out.
No, this is I take a great deal of offense to the number of things that they promised going into office and the number of things they've actually achieved. The achievements list seems to me to be very short, and at some point we should probably do a review of things that they promised to do and things that they've actually managed or things that they've completely failed on.
Well, and I was told the importance of those things, right? Like the things that they've actually accomplished are trivial.
It's not going to make a difference because their voters either make money from the government or don't have an attention span long enough to pay attention to the fact that his promises are falling flat.
But they will talk about the stocks, though.
Oh, wow.
And the hair. Don't forget the hair.
Oh, yeah. Pretty dreamy, actually.
Yeah. Compliments his socks. And his wonky eyebrow.
On to the next thing. Going to Ontario.
Eyebrow Murphkins, or whatever the hell.
The eyebrows will balance themselves. On to Ontario from the CBC. Doug Ford's PC's poised to cut regulations for business. I'm a fan of this. I'm glad that we live in Ontario with a now conservative government. I pay less than $1 a liter for gasoline, and the price of my beer has not gone up due to taxes and regulations.
Yeah.
I would like to
as
see what this new regulation actually ends up being. If they actually cut, so the economic development minister in Ontario is saying that they're going to cut regulations by 25%. I would like to see how that actually translates into businesses in Ontario. So Gavin runs a very successful large small business. I run a moderately successful small business. I would like to see how this actually impacts us in Ontario as small business owners.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the nonsense that the Win Liberals pulled right before they turned into the minivan party certainly fucked Ontario royally, and I think we're seeing the repercussions of that still to this day, even though things have been fixed, because it made business so unfavorable that people made decisions to pull out of Ontario, GM. As a result of some of these policies. And even though some of them have been rolled back or at least halted, and hopefully more will get rolled back, it still made, decisions got made in advance, and now you can't undo those. So,
well, yeah, now to correct that, you got to swing back so much to become like actually, like you have to look like a good deal to business owners again to persuade them to back into the province. So,
yeah,
You do.
but
I don't
they've
remember
also
what
made an
was-
investment where they are just to change and set up. Like everyone has, believe it or not, like unlike the government, like businesses need plans.
yeah,
I don't remember what the
Solid
figure
one.
is. I remember that they covered this in an accounting class that I took in school, and it's something like 50% of Ontarians are employed in small businesses, and a small business is something with less than 20 employees. I don't recall what the exact figure is, so don't be mad at me for quoting that wrong.
It depends how you break it down. I think they actually classify a small business or a small to medium business as anything that's like 500 employees or less.
Yeah.
And that is like 80 to 90% of the people in Ontario and in Canada. I mean, the statistic kind of follows across the country.
Yeah,
Very few people are employed by large companies. But like when you think small business, you'd think, I mean, definitely less than 100 people.
Yeah,
That would be the bulk of that.
our statistics on
Gavin,
the CPP come from the heart outwards. So.
Yeah.
No, Gavin, when you say like that high statistic of people that don't work for small businesses, that's in the private sector. Because obviously we have half of our population working for the government.
Yeah, but that's not business. That's bureaucracy. That's.
I very much hope that the Making Ontario Open for Business Act gets rid of everything that the previous Liberal government in Ontario did. There's very little that the Ontario Liberal government did under Wynne that I find is a benefit to any size of business, particularly to small business. So I very much hope that this actually rolls all of that back. We need small businesses in Ontario in order to fund the government to continue operating, because like it or not, someone has to pay for my roads.
Yeah, government does not make jobs. Government can make it favorable or not for businesses to create jobs. That's how that works.
Yeah, a lot of you were saying like a lot of those public sector, like not public sector, the non-private sector jobs are regulations.
Yeah.
Well, and I very much hope that this reduction in regulation that they're proposing turns into an actual reduction in regulation, so I don't have to spend so much money hiring professionals to deal with government nonsense for the sake of dealing with government nonsense.
Yeah.
Because, like, as a small family-owned business, the majority of my expenditures for professional services are to deal with problems that the government has created to satisfy the government.
Yeah.
They're not things that help me run my business. They're not things that make me more profitable. They're not things that help me sell bandages. They're things that the government demands that I do in order to be compliant with things that the government came up with.
Yeah. I mean, we have a whole team of people that deal with government compliance and stupid things like tariffs and and duties and taxes and this and that and everything else, like, and spend a shit ton of money on all that we wouldn't have to if none of that shit existed.
All right, on to the next thing. Did somebody say fake and gay earlier in the show? Toronto Star article. Pride Toronto cuts off debate and police. Pardon me. Toronto. Blah, 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 blah. Pride Toronto cuts off debate on police in parade. So this is funny. Activists are calling on other activists to be less activistic towards the police because they want to something community. This is pretty good. So I guess for everybody in podcast land that doesn't remember this, the Toronto police got banned from Pride Parade for 2 years because they were the police? I'm still not clear, but like we talked about this at length. I think that they just banned them because they were cops. I think that's all it was.
Yeah. But aren't these the same ones
yeah.
that isn't just the police and military that just have guns, right? I mean, these are the same ones they want.
Well, yeah. That it's the same RCMP.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
Can I get like my take though? There was Pride Parade in Toronto, and then Pride Parade, in my opinion, got like kind of taken over by like the Black Pride people, you know, because they have more
Privilege points.
Minority status.
more privileged currency than and they clearly point out that, you know, because Black, trans, and gay people suffer more, you know, crime than white, you know, trans and gay people, that therefore they should have a louder voice in it. And it's carried over from the States, where the States was saying one of the official things of the Black Lives Matter movement was that Black Lives Matter, but not if you're a police officer. As soon as you put on the uniform, this was their official statement that I found on the website, then you are no longer black, you become blue, and you're an enemy of the black people.
Well, I mean, I don't hate that, but all right.
No, it's just amazing the gymnastics that goes on with this. So
as a result of last year's Pride Parade in Toronto, which I didn't know the lineage of Pride Parade. I thought it was just Pride Parade. And I guess this is because even when I lived in Toronto, I didn't participate in this sort of nonsense. But Pride Parade used to be something else. It was the Lesbian and Gay Pride Day Committee. And then later it became Toronto Pride, which is a different thing run by different people. And I guess I'm not a good enough ally to know how this all transpired, despite having lived in Toronto when it occurred.
Well, one group probably got more financial assistance than the other group and more corporate sponsorship, so they just took over running things.
I mean, I guess that's the case. So the Where's Waldo Glasses gal that's running it now shut down the Pride Parade planning meeting, whatever the event was where they were trying to figure this out, because people wanted to know what was going on with the cops. And I guess now there are other activists calling for this scholar activists dismissal from...
You forgot the air quotes are on scholar.
Scholar. I like that.
Yes.
The level of neck on this turtleneck is too damn high.
Yeah, that's a truly frightening...
That's a crippling turtleneck.
Really? Yeah, I mean, the combination between the turtleneck and those glasses, I mean...
She's what she used to refer to as a leave gauge. When she starts to look good, it's time to leave.
Yeah. I just, the whole thing, I know we've kind of talked about this before, but like, I mean, historically, I guess the gay community, especially the trans community, has had issues with law enforcement. But how do they ever expect to rebuild that relationship and you know, be on good terms if they're like, fuck you, you can't be part of our thing?
Well, that's, I mean...
Yeah, that's their one thing. They've already used it. The one weapon is you can't be part of Pride. And
I think a lot of this is made up nonsense with Pride, because they say the police shouldn't be represented while they're abusing Black, Indigenous, trans, and other marginalized communities. And
But when was the last time a cop got in trouble for doing that?
Right, and that's the thing is I don't think the police in Toronto are doing anything to these communities at any higher rate than they are to any other
community. Yeah.
Well, that's why Ralph Goodale gave them $450,000 so that they can prove that the police are doing that at a higher rate.
Well, if they are being getting into trouble at a higher rate, then it's probably because they're committing crimes at a higher rate. You know, I don't know about you guys, but like I work and then I work and then I come home with my family, and that's about it.
So I work and then I work at my other job and then I work at my small business. I mean tax shelter, and then that's basically all I have time for.
Yeah, not a lot of room for shenanigans.
Well, except for Monday nights. That's.
Well, let's get back to the basics on this too, right? I mean,
tax shelter.
Sorry, Andrew. Let's get back to the basics on this. I mean, like the police, their job is to police an entire area. In this case, their mandate is the city of Toronto. It doesn't matter what people's feelings are towards them. They still have a job to do, which includes policing every area, including the parade area. So whether or not these people want them there is irrelevant. I mean,
yeah.
You know,
well,
right.
So I guess
they're officially not part of the parade. They're
right. That's the difference is between having them present at the parade to provide policing and being part of the parade is in, you know, I guess you. What do you do to be part of the pride? Never mind. I don't want to know.
Oh, I bet you there's some short shorts involved.
Hey, officer.
I've got some short shorts I could wear.
And a prime minister.
Yeah.
Yep.
You want to see my baton?
But
Officer
Do you think I could get a photo with Trudeau while I'm wearing my Rhodesian short shorts?
Yes. But I also think that you're going to be in that same article as Fire Force Ventures was.
Well, he's actually signed a Nazi flag, so I don't think it would be
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. Yeah,
and he was posed with for a selfie with the Stratford taxi bomber.
Yeah.
So
I'll be in good company then.
He's got questionable judgment.
Yeah.
It's vapid.
Yeah. So what you're saying is I should be worried about being in a photo with him, not the other way around.
I think
you're not locked in here with me.
Yeah.
No way, the other way around.
His security would spot you. He wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah.
Also,
okay. So I'm curious.
A really good show. Carry on.
So Gavin, you've made this joke about owning these Rhodesian short shorts a couple times now.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen them.
First,
they're no joke. They're serious business.
So at first, I just assumed you were just making a joke, but I'm starting to think that you actually own the Rhodesian short shorts now.
Oh yeah, he showed all in New Brunswick.
Yeah, I've got a photo of Andrew and I in front of an RCMP cruiser while we're strapped while I'm wearing them.
For any listeners who aren't aware what those are, Google that. That'll
or not. I mean,
but if you're interested, then go check out Fire Force Ventures and grab a pair from those guys. I'm sure they could use the money to fight their legal battles.
Yes, we got to support the white supremacist Chinese people.
Yeah.
our most embattled populace.
No, that's they weren't the ones that were selling those miniature desk flags, were they?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yes, that Fire Force
miniature desk flags and miniature shorts. That's all they carry. But that is not a comment on their Asianness.
Do you have a greatcoat? No.
Yeah.
Oh, just only miniature things.
But they could also double duty, like as far as being on a desk and also on the front hood of the car, like the front fenders. You can put them right there as well.
There you go.
It's true. Yeah. Oh, that's what I need on the front of my car.
Oh, giant roadie flag? Yeah.
So good.
If I lived in a country that didn't suffer from government indoctrination camps, it would be something that would get me pulled over. But fortunately, I live here, and the public is not that well educated.
It's true.
P.S. I need a giant roadie flag. Send me a thing.
We need
feedback at Canadian Patriot Podcast.
Yeah. Support the Rhodesian flag.
If you know where I carry a giant Rhodesia flag.
Yeah. Send Andrew one for Yule. I'm sure he'll appreciate it and hang it up behind him.
It's true. I do need some Yule stuff. We have the Yule tree up, and other assorted things.
Every once in a while, I watch. I keep the YouTube open in another window.
Me
And,
too.
just to keep an eye on the chat, the live chat.
Yeah,
And
see if
like,
our
like, oh
local
shit,
Xavier
Gavin
Pinochet shows
fell
up.
asleep. But I just have it
Yeah.
muted. Like, oh shit, Gavin fell asleep. You didn't. You're up.
Yeah.
All right. No rapid fire feedback this week because my regular computer has suffered some sort of a thing. So I can't get onto iTunes. And by I can't, I mean I'm not installing iTunes on this laptop. So if you left an iTunes review this week, I'm not reading it. And if you sent me an email this week, I'm not reading that either for reasons.
Fair.
All right. We
He'll
should
read it, though.
as soon as I figure out how to get my computer fixed, I will be all over that.
Nah.
Also, I'll have my computer fixed later this week. Fingers crossed. I've ordered the replacement components that I need.
I just like the whole. I'm still stuck on this whole Star article about the Pride Parade. They're just like, no police, no, and then it's just like, then that one quote: "We started with $0 and we can continue with $0." This is the whole. This is just going to the garden to eat worms times.
Yeah,
like
but like if they
20,
weren't getting so much corporate sponsorship, because like our friend that's been on the show before, who is a police officer, brought this up and said that without the cops there, they don't get certain funding because if they allow the cops to be part of it, the government gives them money. But they don't care anymore because they've got so much corporate sponsorship dollars behind it that like whatever pittance they
Good.
get,
Let them have corporate sponsorships.
it doesn't
Because
matter.
that will tell me which corporations not to spend my money with, and it stops them giving my tax dollars to people I don't agree with.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is the Pride, that comment that Tim referenced, we started with $0 and it can continue with $0, was in reference to criticism from within their members about concern over accepting funding from Ralph Goodale, because Ralph Goodale's from funding from a body whose mandate includes policing and corrections. So they took $450,000 from Ralph Goodale's office.
What I missed something important here. What is the problem with providing law enforcement through my tax dollars?
No. So the problem is that Ralph Goodale's office gave Pride Toronto $450,000.
Okay, I'm agreeable to that. Ralph Goodale's office shouldn't be giving out any money.
So the members expressed concern over accepting that money because Ralph Goodale's office has a mandate that includes policing and corrections.
So again, I'm good with this because Ralph Goodale's office shouldn't be giving out my tax dollars.
Yeah. And so that was the comment of, we started with $0 and it can continue with $0, as in they should not be accepting this money because Ralph Goodale works with police.
I would actually argue they shouldn't get any of my money.
They
Stop giving them any tax dollars.
Yeah, they shouldn't get any tax dollars at all. And if people want to fund that, like,
in fact, they shouldn't get. They should get negative tax dollars. They're a business. They should be paying taxes.
Well, like, I wonder, like, do they have to pay for fees and pay for security and pay for like licensing? Like, do they?
I hope so. If they're not,
or is that all just given away due to gayness?
Fake and gayness, Tim.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if like a lot of their permits and stuff were comped. It may not be, but I would not be surprised if it was.
Yeah, so if a private...
What is this, a rural town in New Brunswick? What do we do? We just run a flag up?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm all over you. Go ahead.
No, but yeah, like if a private business, like a security firm, wants to donate their security guards and time, so be it. But if a government permit needs to exist, which I think is stupid, but if there is one, if that's comped, no, that's not cool. If anyone else has to pay for it, they have to pay for it. No group whatsoever deserves special treatment. Everybody needs to be treated the same. Equally shitty by government.
That's an equality thing that they're fighting for, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, they don't want equal like opportunity. They want equal
outcomes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the equal outcome is that everyone has to pay for the stupid permits.
Yeah. And when that doesn't fix it, then you just need to throw more money at it. And when they still continue to do whatever, then they just need more money. Like,
Maybe they could fix their budget if actually charge for permits too.
Yeah.
But if we're all equal, then why is diversity our strength?
Oof.
A wonderful question which we cannot answer in the course of this podcast.
Stay tuned for next week while we. No, that we can't answer that. There is no way to answer that.
It's
It'll take too long.
because it's not. No,
Yeah.
it's just not. It's a logical fallacy. Diversity is not our strength. Homogenous Canadian culture is our strength.
There's actually studies. Yeah, there's actually studies about this, but
Yeah, but those are done by like Chinese white supremacists, so those don't count, Tim.
yes, yeah.
But Roof Korea is the best Korea, if anyone's wondering.
Roof Korea is the best Korea. Everyone knows this. All right, I guess we should wrap this up. Where can everybody find everybody? We're going to start with Gavin. Where can everyone find you?
When I'm not puking at the side of the range during the safety brief, you can find me at Instagram at urbex_GTA.
Ian, where can everyone find you? I hear you have a podcast.
Yeah, matter of fact, we do. You can find me at the Island Retreat at gmail.com. You can find that other CPP podcast, the Canadian Prepper Podcast.
Wait, other CPP?
There is another one, indeed. Is now on my YouTube channel. We took a page from you guys. We started doing live podcasts, and so now we're on the channel is the Island Retreat. You can find me there.
Okay, well, if you guys start selling medical supplies and tourniquets, we're going to have a discussion because there's another group that does that in Canada.
There's
And
some
I am-
royalties involved.
I am not particularly happy about that.
Well, I swear to God, I won't do that.
Thank you. Marty, where can everybody find the show? Just like every week.
Just like every week, same places. Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast. CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback, or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com.
Good for you. You must still have the show notes up.
Now I had to quickly jump back.
Close enough. Tim.
You can find me at Facebook.com/Tim'sGoodT-shirts.
As always, my name is Andrew. You can find me at RagnarokTactical.ca. You should definitely buy some first aid supplies or some AR-15 accessories or some other firearms accessories or maybe some very stylish nylon tactical accessories. I don't know. What is the crap that we sell that's nylon? I guess it's like
HSGI,
yeah.
Warrior
No,
Assault.
I know it's HSGI, but what would it be like tactical accessories, I guess?
Yeah.
If you want stuff from High Speed Gear, you should buy it from me. I have the best High Speed Gear.
Oh, yeah. And some huge deals coming up. Huge!
Oh,
Okay.
I guess that's
Polymer plates.
What's that about plates? I have plates. I sell plates.
Yeah.
Yeah, plates. Plates
Yeah.
to go in. Yeah.
Yeah, plates you can put tacos on.
That's no plates go in plate carriers. You can put tacos on though.
Yeah, same thing.
Close enough. I guess this is worth mentioning. Tune in next week where I remind you about the 12 Days of Yule sale because we have 12 Days of Yule. Yule starts on the 21st of December. I don't know what that is in your Christian and or Judeo other types of calendars because I'm not one of those people. As a proud practicing heathen, Yule, the official holiday, starts on the 21st. So if you want to turn in for the 12 Days of Yule, I will tell you all about the sales that we're having. Everything is on sale. Everything.
So pick up some bandages, some plates, some
Don't
nylon
tell me what's on
tactical.
sale. They have to tune in. You're ruining the pitch.
Everything's for
Oh.
sale.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's all we sell.
I think that covers everybody. Did I miss anyone? You know who I always miss?
The lawn tractor.
I
Yeah.
I do really want a lawn tractor, but no. I was going to say Rod Giltaca.
Yeah, no.
You know,
it's
I'm
unfortunate.
I'm sorry for bogarting his place all the time.
Yeah.
Well, the rule is we can have one person from BC.
Yeah.
This week we have Ian. So all I'm saying is Thunderdome. Rod,
Yeah.
if you want to get on the show, you and Ian, mano a mano, winner take all. Whoever is the victor gets to be on CPP.
I would argue my goatee's better.
I would be inclined to agree with you, sir.
Yeah.
All right. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.